Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's CITI program webinar. Today's topic is Artificial Intelligence and Human Subject Protections, and it will be presented by Cansu and Tamiko Eto. This webinar will be recorded, and the recording will be available on the CITI program's website. So, let me tell you about today's presenters. Tamiko is responsible for the administrative leadership and direction of all operational aspects of SRI's Human Research Protection Program. She works closely with SRI AI investigators and administrative leadership on addressing the unique ethical challenges around AI and how all that fits into the regulatory landscape. Cansu is a philosopher and the founder and director of the AI Ethics Lab. She has a PhD in philosophy, specializing in applied ethics, and she works on ethics of technology and public health ethics. Previously, she was a lecturer at the University of Hong Kong and a researcher at the Harvard Law School, Harvard School of Public Health, Harvard Medical School, National University of Singapore, Osaka University, and the World Health Organization. And now, let me pass the mic to you, Tamiko.
Just to confirm, Cansu and I both have no conflicts of interest. Today's learning objectives include a brief review of the current regulatory framework around AI in the context of human subject protections, a short overview of the existing protections and limitations, and lastly, we hope learners walk away with some ideas about how they may wish to use or modify, as appropriate to their own institutional needs, various policies and procedures related to the protection of human subjects in AI research. In this webinar, we hope to present AI in the context of human subject research by exploring a few unique examples. We'll also provide a general overview of the current existing protections in AI subjects, human subject research, the limitations, and some possible regulatory approaches to addressing those limitations. So, what is AI HSR? When AI research involves human subjects, the projects become AI Human Subject Research, or AI HSR. But how do we know what, if any, regulations apply? As with all human subject research, the answer is it depends. With typical human subject research, IRBs and ethics committees can usually come to a conclusion fairly quickly as to what regulations apply. With AI human subject research, however, this isn't always the case. Whether we are IRB professionals or researchers, trying to navigate our way around how artificial intelligence research fits within the regulations is quite challenging. And for good reasons. The regs weren't made with this rapidly evolving technology in mind. Can we follow the same review process of typical human subject research? Typical human subject research usually goes through a two-point process. Is it research? And does it involve human subjects? The example here describes a PI asking participants to come in and interact with some robots to understand how humans interact and respond to the robots. This does not involve AI. It is simply a behavioral study. After reviewing the project details, the IRB will determine 1, if the project is a systematic investigation designed to contribute to generalizable knowledge, and 2, if it fits the federal definition of human subjects. The IRB will then move on to assess any other relevant considerations, such as any FDA or sponsor requirements. Making a human subject research determination in AI research can be challenging because it isn't always clear if the researcher is obtaining information about the participants. Second, without asking the right questions, it may be impossible for the IRB to determine if the PI will then be able to generate identifiable information from the data. In the last slide, we saw that in order for a project to be considered research, it had to be a systematic investigation, including research development, testing, and evaluation, designed to contribute to generalizable knowledge. While in many cases, we may be able to determine that there is a systematic investigation, we can get caught on the last part, designed to contribute to generalizable knowledge. And this is where most of us can get stuck. It's not uncommon for AI researchers to believe that their algorithm development and AI ML research is not human subject research, because the algorithm is only the software portion of a device. Common justifications are, we're not interested in the participant's private information. It doesn't matter who it is. We just need humans to perform tasks so we can use our data to feed the algorithm for training purposes. Some claim this type of work is QA/QI, stating it's not designed to contribute to generalizable knowledge. But is it? For example, a software company wants to improve their product by incorporating AI into their email applications to detect likely junk mail and filter it. To do this, they will need to train the AI using large data sets, which may include an actual person's private emails. While this type of project might incidentally obtain information from or about humans, it's not designed to contribute to generalizable knowledge. Put simply, the developer is developing a product to either sell or to use for themselves. They are not trying to create technology or make it available to others. Here's an example of an AI HSR. A PI analyzes stool samples to develop an algorithm that can detect abnormal stool and inform a patient when they may need to seek medical treatment. The PI is not interested in the individual themselves, but rather just needs their stool samples so that they can run the experiment. While the PI may never obtain private identifiable information from the participant, this would still be considered human subject research because it is, 1, designed to contribute to generalizable knowledge, and 2, it obtains information or biospecimens through intervention or interaction and uses, studies, or analyzes it. It's important to note that AI human subject research doesn't have to be medical or health related to be human subjects. Using the diagram in the earlier slide, we can see how technology created for research development or technology added for simple product development can make a big difference in the human subject research determination.
So we now have some time for a few questions from the audience. So I think the first question is directed at you, Tamiko, and it is, what are the best sources of guidance that we can send to researchers?
All right, that's a great question. So as you've probably noticed from this webinar, there's a lot of guidance and information out there. Unfortunately, it's a little overwhelming and it's not always AI focused. What I found is the FDA, SAMD, so the Software as Medical Device FDA guidance, they've published a few already and nothing's really finalized, but that is super helpful for any medical or FDA regulated AI research involving human subjects. And then the other one I would just recommend is if the IRBs themselves or the HRPP managers develop some prepared IRB defined terms and guidance that would go hand in hand with actual examples of AI human subject research types and even not human subject research types commonly found at your specific institution. A lot of researchers, when they see examples, then they can compare it to their own projects and then see if it's relevant. And that helps a lot. That's what I'd recommend.
Please also visit the CITI program's website to learn more about all of our courses.